Jenny, welcome. It's just terrific to have you here. Jenny is an artist in many ways and in many fashions. The paintings are interesting and crazy and fun, satirical in some ways too. And so that's only part of what she does. She's also a mindfulness teacher and co-founder of Creative Nectar Studio. Is that how they pronounce Nectar? Nectar.
Nectar.
Yes. And co-hosts a podcast from there as well. So I'm really interested in the book, and the book is being released soon this month. Yeah.
Really?
Oh wow! Hey, promote that some more as we go along.
I'd love to.
Jenny, thank you for being here, and take it away.
Thank you so much, Jeff, and to the entire community. It is such a joy to be with you. Can everybody hear me? Can I get a thumbs up? Okay, great. Thank you. So I would love to talk today about creative flow, not just my book, Creative Flow, but creative flow as a spiritual practice for each and every one of us, and particularly creative flow as a path to wholeness. Wholeness, we use that term a lot in spiritual community. And I want to just start by, reflecting on what that really means. What does it mean to be whole? Wholeness is a completeness, where nothing is missing. I think of wholeness as a circle. Of course, as a visual person, I'm always thinking of words visually, but I think of a circle. Nothing is missing. Everything is here. Everything is one. And when we think of ourselves as whole, again, with nothing missing, for me, it took me a long time to reach a state, and I won't say that I'm not fully complete, I'm not done yet, but to reach a state where I felt whole and complete. And, if you think of the circle as a sliver missing, think of the pie with a piece gone, or pizza. What does that look like? Well, then you have sort of like this Pac-Man looking character, right? What does Pac-Man do? Pac-Man eats the dots, has an insatiable appetite, always looking, always moving, always eating the dots, right? And I use that analogy because I feel like that was me about 20 or so years ago. I was not in my wholeness, and that was manifesting as an eating disorder, as binge eating and self-starvation, eventually moving more and more into the self-starvation. And what was missing for me was an ability to accept my creative wholeness, my creative potential. I was an artist, as those of you who were with me before the service today, we were chatting. I went to art school, did the training, all of that. I've known from a very early age that I was an artist. And yet, at that time in my life, I could barely even create a single piece of art without being overwhelmed, overcome with immense anxiety, with immense self-doubt and self-destruction, really. So my path to healing and to reclaiming that wholeness was really a path of coming home to my own truth, not trying to be a great artist out there in the world and making things to impress, but coming home to this being, to what is this being wanting to express? What is wanting to express from the inside out? What is my soul needing? And coming at art making from a very different place, a very different place of expressing from the inside out and giving voice to the pieces of myself that I had disowned in order to come back to that completeness, that circle. So I invite you to this morning to sit with the question of, are you embracing your creativity? Because, my friends, whether or not you identify as an artist, which I don't like to use the A word so much, whether or not you identify as an artist, creativity is part of your very nature, your spiritual nature. Creativity is inherent to all humans, and it plays out in various forms. It doesn't have to be visual art. Our creativity expresses through every decision that we make in the day in subtle or not so subtle ways. Our creativity shows up in our relationships, in the way that we relate to others, in the words that we speak, in the music, in the song that we share, in cooking, in deciding what you're going to wear in the morning, and in so many other ways. Creativity is the life force energy moving and expressing through us. And this is why I refer to it as soul nectar or creative nectar. It's that aliveness, that vitality that is available to be tapped at any moment. So I invite you this morning to begin to consider creativity in a much bigger context than you might have been taught or raised to think of it. You know, we're in our culture, we tend to be raised that there are creative people and there are non-creative people, right? Like, she's an artist, he's an artist, they're an artist, I'm not an artist. I don't have a creative bone in my body. I can't draw a straight line. You know, all the things that we say. And yet that's a limiting definition. In fact, I would love to read you a quote from one of my favorite authors, Elizabeth Gilbert. I don't know if any of you have read some of her books, like Eat, Pray, Love. She had a book called Big Magic that came out a few years back about creativity. But in the book Big Magic, she says this: are you considering becoming a creative person? Too late. You already are one. To ever call somebody a, quote, creative person is almost laughably redundant. Creativity is the hallmark of our species. We have the senses for it. We have the curiosity for it. We have the opposable thumbs for it. We have the rhythm for it. We have the language and the excitement and the innate connection to divinity for it. If you're alive, you're a creative person. You and I and everyone you know are descended from tens of thousands of years of makers, decorators, tinkerers, storytellers, dancers, explorers, fiddlers, drummers, builders, growers, problem solvers, and embellishers. These are our common ancestors. So consider that for a moment. Creativity is your divine inheritance, whether that shows up as starting a business, growing a garden, making a painting. Doesn't have to be for anybody else. It can be just for yourself. But I invite you to begin to step into that knowing, and beginning to expand the definition in order to welcome that piece of ourselves for wholeness, for completion, as a complete spiritual human being. We are all creative beings worthy of expression. So, if we're not feeling creative, how can we get there? I'm glad you asked, or if you didn't ask, I'm asking for you. And this is why I wrote this book, which actually has been, I realized, I counted it up last night because I had my official book launch, and I realized that it was 23 years ago that when I was working in the Silent Unity prayer ministry and praying with others, I was also making a prayer for myself. And that was when I was really in the middle of my anorexia. I was in the middle of a lot of self-hatred. And yet I knew that healing was possible, and I knew it was happening. And I knew in my heart, even though I was not even yet teaching or sharing any of my own healing path because it hadn't happened, I knew in that moment I would be writing a book one day. And so I'm so excited and thrilled that it's here in my hands. And that is a testimony, if anything is. But 10 years ago, after I had begun my healing and after I had started teaching and inviting people into my space to create with me in my attic of my old house in Brookside from years ago. That's where it all began, inviting folks into my attic space to get messy, to play together, to express from the inside out. And from there, over the years, I started taking workshops on the road, and it's called process art. So using art as a tool for self-discovery. So it's about the process. It's not even about the finished product. I think of it that when we make art for process, it's almost like a byproduct that we end up with a piece, with a painting or with whatever the art form is. So that is what, as I really started to think, because here's the thing, as I traveled the country and went actually to a lot of Unity churches, but different groups and spiritual groups particularly, I saw time and time again that this is true, that this is possible, that those who came to me and said, no, my sister had all the talent, not me. Or no, my first grade teacher told me to put down the paintbrush, told me to do something else. You know, all those, quote, art scars we can get, as Brene Brown calls them. They can have a lasting effect. When your choir teacher tells you, no, honey, just move your lips. Don't make a sound. You know, how many of us have had these experiences? And how long can they stay in our hearts with that inner child? Oh, I need to tone it back. Oh, I'm too much. All those messages that we get. No. That is somebody else's. That is not ours. That is not ours. And I saw time and time again how even those with art scars, when they show up to the blank page with a spectrum of color and with encouragement to come home to themselves, encouragement to play, that just within a matter of time, those scars can begin to heal. Those old messages and old programming from years and years ago, sometimes decades ago, they begin to fall away. Because again, that true nature, that inherent creativity is still there. Might be blocked, might be frozen, but it is still there and it's still accessible. It's still accessible. And so the book really for me was, how do I take this knowledge, this knowing, and also everything I've witnessed in all of these folks time and time again, how do I distill this down? What are the steps for coming back, for coming home? And I'd like to share some of those with you today, my friends. I would like to walk us through a process of just, and you don't have to do a thing. I'm just going to share some words, and I just invite you to, as much as possible, to open your heart, to open your entire being, and to let this in. Let it wash over you. Let it fill your cup, and to see what begins to show up. So let's all just take a deep breath together. Maybe even just shake out the body a little if you needing to stretch or something. Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, just in letting my words wash over you, I'm going to just read some passages and inviting a deepening of the breath. We're about to embark on a journey together, an inward journey, a deep dive into the mystery of what it means to be creative and whole, with no part of you left out. In this journey, I invite you in your fullness, welcoming your hopes, your desires, your fears, your inner longings, your tears, your triumphs, and all of your emotions. I welcome the parts of you that might already feel creative and outwardly confident. And I invite those parts that might be scared or uncertain, doubtful, or even cynical, perhaps never having had a place in which to be fully seen and heard. Take another deep breath. You are here. Welcome. Welcome home, dear one. What is creative flow? My definition of creative flow is this: the alchemical state of engaged curiosity, grounded presence, and liberated expression, through which any sense of separation disappears. It's a state in which you can discover an interconnected unity with your own truest nature, your uniqueness. It's a state of contented ecstasy and cosmic play for its own sake. It's the meeting place of life and eternity, the playground of the divine. The playground of the divine. So, my friends, as we come home to ourselves and our creativity, the first step is to tune in to yourself, feeling your breath, feeling it wherever you feel it in the body, perhaps at the chest, perhaps at the belly, perhaps at the tip of the nose. Feeling your groundedness, whether you're sitting in a seat or you have your feet on the floor, feeling your connection to the earth. Tuning in. The stirrings of your soul are closer than your own breath. Listen. Can you hear them? For too long, you've been searching for truth outside of yourself. Your heart is a doorway. Enter the mystery. So as we tune in, I invite you to sit with the question of, what are you aware of in this very moment? What are you aware of? What are you aware of? There's no right or wrong answer. What do your senses perceive? Do you hear my voice? What else do you hear in the room? Any buzzing of electronics or sounds of nature through the window? What are you aware of? So moving on to step two. Step two is to turn on. To turn on. You are vitality in expression. Your body is a sacred temple to regard with care, praise, and celebration. Allow your form to speak its needs and desires. Listen with unbiased compassion. Embody your truth. So taking a moment to feel the vitality of the body and to begin to notice what it is that you want. What do you want? Imagine if you had a spread of colors in front of you, a spread of paints, just tempera paints that you'd use like in elementary school. What color would draw you? Using the tool of your imagination, what do you want? What do you desire? What do you desire in your life? What do you desire in your body? And beginning to open to the energy of the body. What are you hungry for? What do you thirst for? Beginning to allow and explore. Turning on. Taking another breath. And from here, moving on to step three, inviting play. Play. How many of us allow ourselves to play? Inviting play. Break free from the mental shackles of your conditioning. Now is the time to wonder, to explore, to amuse. Trust your impulses and allow curiosity to draw you beyond your protective shell. So in this moment, using your imagination, what would you do if fear didn't stop you? What sounds enticing to you? What does your inner child most want? Just imagining it. Imagining the world as your oyster, the world as your canvas. What sounds like fun? If there were no mistakes, what sounds like fun? Just inviting that exploration, even if it's just in the mind, even if it's just in the imagination. You don't even have to do it, but what can you dream of? What can you imagine? Inviting play. And from here, taking another deep breath, my friends. Moving on. Final step 4. Following the thread. What is taking shape within you in this exploration? What is taking shape? A pathway appears one step at a time. Notice what direction beckons and where your energy tugs you. Follow your inner compass as each step reveals itself. Trust the process. What does this mean? It means we don't need to know the finish line before we begin. We don't need to see the end result. We don't know what the painting looks like before the first brush stroke. We don't know what the book will be finished as. We don't know what our song is when we open our mouth to sing. We trust the process, trusting your inner compass, trusting the first step that you feel led to take. Breathing into that for a moment. breathing into the knowledge that you don't have to have all the answers. It doesn't have to all make sense. Beginning to trust the impulses of your own being and allowing from there. My friends, you are pure potential wrapped in a human body, and your creativity is a portal to the mystery. You bring expression to that which is unseen and unknown, and in a way that is completely unique and will never be repeated. You are a channel through which universal creativity flows, seasoning it with your unique flavors and juiciness, your soul nectar. So, my friends, keep that channel open and know that your life is a canvas. My hope for you is that you will allow yourself to take big risks and to make mistakes, to explore like a child without needing to control the results, to see what beauty and what magic is added to the world just by you being you. So embrace it and know it. Tap and express your creative flow. So I invite you to take another deep breath, seeing how much of that you can invite in, feel it in your body. And exhale, releasing any limitation. Yeah. When you're ready, I invite us all to come back into this moment, feeling your body again, wiggling the fingers and toes. If your eyes are closed, I invite you to open them. And I am curious how you are feeling in this moment. After we've taken this inner journey, what is alive for you in your heart? Did anything show up for you? I'm not sure where we are time-wise, but I'm curious if we have just a moment, just to anyone who feels like unmuting and sharing, how was that for you? Did anything show up? Did anything pique your curiosity and like, ooh, I want to explore? Feel free to jump in, unmute and jump in if you feel like sharing even just a single word.
I don't know what brought it up actually, but I found myself contemplating the crossroads between being true or being safe, and realizing that I need to always trust that being true will somehow prove safe, whether it appears that way initially or not.
Beautiful. Thank you, Tim. Yes, yes.
Something that came up, Jenny, and I've taken your class before, so it was very fun.
Yes.
Yeah. And one of the things as you were talking that came up is to remember that it's better to thrive than just survive. Because sometimes we get in a habit of just doing, just surviving, and not moving anything beyond that.
Right. Thank you, Pat. Yes. And it's nice to see you again.
What came up for me, Jenny, was my bucket list. And it's not anything out of reach, but I just haven't done it. You know, I want to see the Northern Lights. I want to go to an ice sculpture festival, a sand sculpture festival. You know, and I just haven't. But that's very strange that it came up during that.
Thank you, Evelyn. And it's never too late. Never too late. And even if whatever reason it can't happen physically, it's never too late in the imagination. and in our expression, creating an experience of that in whatever way serves you. Yeah, thank you, Evelyn.
Yeah, I've got a couple of things. I write poetry and published a book and published another one. I didn't write a poem until I was 65 years old. And then in the last year, a friend of mine invited me to an art class over with the United Auto Workers. You know, they have enrichment classes that the union runs for people over there. They're quite wonderful. And I went to this art class with this woman, and it was so much fun. It was so much fun just slapping that paint on the canvas. And you know, I kept hearing the word fun in your thing. And I think creative people, you know, no matter what they're doing, you know, working on their cars or doing gardening or quilting or anything, it's fun. That's what people are having fun. And anyhow, I want to do more of that art. I got to figure out a way to get connected, like with the class where I can go to regular, because all you say, it was a blast doing it. Made me want to do it more.
Great. Thank you, Greg. Yes, yes. Any other words?
Yesterday, and for several weeks now, have been taking an improv class where we're making up stuff on the spot. You know, we're doing small scenes and reacting off of each other, doing the activity that is a yes and also you accept yes, whatever it is that the partner has given you, and then you embellish on that. And it's a lot of fun, Greg.
Well, I can imagine it is really fun. Where are you doing it down at Westport at the Improv Theater down there, or
No,
where?
not it's a center in Gladstone called Lotus Center, and it's run by Julianne, who is, I'll tell you later, but it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'm going to give you a call and check that out.
Well,
That's like a blast, man. You learn how to talk.
and spontaneous. You don't get to think about it. You get to just do.
Yeah, it sounds
Thank
like
you,
fun.
Jeff. Thank you for
Yeah.
sharing. Yes, I actually mentioned that yes and in the book. So
Oh, well, oh, great.
yes.
Yeah.
Improv, yes, great. Who else? Any other final words? And I want to make sure anybody who wishes to share, even if it's a single word. Anyone? And it's okay, you don't have to share if you don't want to, but just, yeah. Allowing whatever your experience was to be, and there's no right or wrong, just like with creativity, but just, I invite just anything that's stirring or bubbling in you, whether it's a memory of your bucket list or something, a class you've always wanted to do, or something that has always come naturally to you as a child that maybe you've stopped doing. Just seeing about inviting some space for that, just in whatever way that feels right for you. And do we have time still for a closing meditation? I've lost track of time. So Susan and Dennis,
We're good.
Good? Yeah? Okay. Because I would love to just close this out by, again, bringing this home. Thank you so much for all of your sharing. And let's just close it out by coming back to ourselves. And I'll be leading just a short meditation. So when you feel ready, I invite you to just get comfortable in your seat. If you wish, you can close your eyes. Just whatever feels right for you. If it feels safer to leave your eyes open, you're welcome to just gaze at the floor in front of you, but just coming home again to the breath. Inviting the breath to be natural. And whatever your experience has been up until this moment, I invite you to let even that go and come home to this breath, to this moment. And as we come home to ourselves, I invite you to see about meeting your inner child. It's okay if you don't have any awareness or feeling of your inner child, but inviting that possibility. I like to bring my hands to my heart, or you can bring a hand to your heart and a hand to your belly, or wherever feels natural for you. But just inviting that little young self that is still in there, inviting them to be with you right now. You may even wish to bring an image of that young being into your mind's eye. Who was that little person who is still there now? That little you with so much curiosity, so much possibility. And just being open to whatever shows up, even if there's emotion, even if there's grief or sadness, just allowing whatever is here now to be here as we invite this young being into our heart. Welcome, welcome home, dear one. Precious child, you are loved. You are whole and complete. You are welcome in all of your fullness, in all of your curiosity, in all of your enthusiasm, in all of your wildness. Welcome home, dear. You are creative and it is beautiful. You are safe. You are loved. Your expressions are unique and wonderful. And your expressions are needed in this world. And so, dear child, however you wish to share your magic in the world, we welcome it. We're excited for it. And we support you. Breathing in here and feeling that. Noticing what you notice in the body, in the heart, in the gut. Trusting your inner wisdom. Trusting your unique gifts. Trusting your creative flow. Breathing in and allowing. breathing out, letting go of anything that no longer serves you, any limitations, any self-judgments, any signs of the inner critic or imposter syndrome, just breathing them out. Any messages of your teachers or parents or society, any limitations, with each out breath, letting it go. Any messages of not being creative, any messages of it's too late, or I'm too old, or I'm too this, or I'm too that. Breathing those out, letting them go. And letting them be replaced with the replenishing of the inner wellspring in your own body. That flow of creativity that is continuous, that is here now, letting it wash over you, basking in your own vitality, in your own uniqueness. Taking a few more breaths here and allowing it to wash over you, feeling the vitality in every cell of your being. Feeling it and allowing it. You are divine. You are creative. You are whole. And you are holy. And so, my friends, taking another breath as we close this time of meditation, we will move into hearing a song. You can either keep your eyes closed or you can open them and just take in this music as another sense experience, opening your ears and allowing music to wash through your being.
Thank you, Jenny. Wow.
Thank you.